Hello my vacuum cleaner chums and welcome to yet another strip down of the Dyson DC24. This is one of the first generation small balls. It needs refurbishing. So, what you would first do, or what I would first do, is remove the brush roll housing clip. It sits on there like so. Small flat base screwdriver in the front, pop up and remove. Pop it in your parts box. And the brush roll comes off like so. Now this is one that needs one good one making out of two. Which way round? I mean, this one works fine, but is awful. The casing looks horrible. This one is dead but has a lovely casing. So I'll pop those to one side and do those later. Now, I've already taken the hose off this because I washed it. So what we do now is remove the wand. Now, when the stickers look like that, i.e. all faded and blank, I take them off. And I won't sit here the whole of it. Oh no, there you go. They either come off like that or you have to spend hours scraping and scraping them. Luckily that one was okay. Screw card ready. I take the wand caps off like so, and then one screw in the top and take the wand cap off like so. Next, a flat base screwdriver down the side of the wand release and pop one side up and the other side will follow. There's three parts. There's the main switch or lever, a smaller one which I think helps lock it, and a spring which goes in the small box. I've never tried to take the white part out that does the locking, and I don't intend to start now. That can be washed as is. Now if you had the hose on, you would take off the siphone, which you would do anyway, push the little tab off the hose in there, push the little tab out of the back and pull the whole thing out. I've already done that, so we don't need to. So we will start with the switch. Now there's one screw at the top. I have to turn it slightly so I can see it. There's two screws at the top, one screw at the bottom. There we go. One, two. Ooh, drop your screwdriver. Two and three is here. Like so. Then the switch housing just pulls off from the front of the machine like so. Power button lifts straight out and there is a spring on it, but I find that survives washing fine. The brush roll on off switch pulls out, which leaves that empty. And on the brush roll switch you have the little micro switch. And if you pull that to the side so it clears this bit of plastic and pull that out, take the spring out, and then that's now empty and can go in the box. With the switch housing off, you can take that seal off, and that seal comes off as well. Now to remove all the wiring, you need to pull both the switches down and take all the wires off them. Now these spade terminals on the DC24 have a little locking tab which you can see, push with your thumb and pull. If you don't, it never comes off and you'll bit the whole contact out the switch. So there's one switch, there's the other, and then hiding down there is the neutral joiner. as most Dysons have. We pull the cable out and down there. You simply flick out the two tabs. And take off the covering block. Then another little lever, out comes the neutral, and there's the cable out. I'll wrap that up out the way. Bringing my shoes with me. Don't do that. No. There. Alright, now. That's about it from there. I start to pull the spiral cable down and just stick it there because you can't get it any further than that at this stage. So next we need to remove the wiring cover. If you look at the machine, it's on the right hand side. Right hand side, left hand side. There should be a hose that sits there. I've had that off and put it in the washing machine. There's also a hose that sits there on the changeover valve. And another part that is also in the wash. So I shall have to talk you through removing that because I've already taken it off. I had to put a wash on before it got too late so it would have half a chance of drying. So we'll take off the switch, the cable housing. I don't have a thing. I might have wiring cover. Those three screws out, and that lifts out and then pulls around to the top and comes out. See the little locating tab in there. Now we can see all the wiring for the ball and the reclining switch, which we will take out now. There's two red wires. One comes from the yoke cable, so it comes from there, runs all the way up and sits here. So we'll push that off. These don't have locking tabs. So there's one. And then the other red cable is one of these, well, that one there. So that goes all the way up to the switch on the brush valve. That comes off and sits there. So the two red wires have been removed from the reclining switch. That switch works, if I come close to the camera. So, can you see it? You'll see it. No point in me saying these things when I can show you. There we go. So, with the machine in the upright position, the switch is off, but as soon as you move the grey pedal, you'll see it moves the switch. So that's why when you turn the standard machine up, the brush roll stops. And when you push it down again, it carries on. That simply lifts out like so, as does the little cam and a very tiny spring. Done. Now, that lot sits on top of a little bracket, which screws on there like so, the micro switch housing. And that slots up just behind the grey pedal. I'm going to take that off because that hides one of the red pedal screws. But before we start there, we'll take the right hand side ball cable off. Ball cable, ball screw out. And then, and this is the fiddly part, we need to remove this block, like so. That's the motor wiring. But this white cable here, the little one, that sits on the top, must also come out as well. And the way you do that is, one side has the clip for the block joiner and the other side hasn't, and it's that side that you want to push your screwdriver up past the wire, pull it a little bit, and it is very, very fiddly. But you basically need to remove a little locking tab so that wire can be free. Now on this side, under the hose, you want to remove the left-hand ball screw, like so. And with that removed, you can put the machine on the floor and remove the whole motor ball and yoke unit from the chassis, like so. Next, we remove the red and grey pedals. Just undo all the screws, and this is where we start to see these little black serrated washers. These are present on a few places, and how I distinguish that is on my screw card I put an asterisk. That just tells me that I need one of those. They're all the same, and I just pile them up and go back through them. So there's one on the right hand side and two on the left, because the grey pedal fits around a piece of moulding on the other side, but on this side it just screws up like so. Pedal. Now, as you can see, the red pedal fell straight out there. It sits in the groove there, like so, and just falls out. The grey pedal is still attached by the spring here. The way to remove that spring is to remove this part here, which is part of the changeover valve, but it does come off separately. And it's a lot easier to take this bit off there. So 3 screws, one leaf, like so. One on the outside, like that. And then one on the top there. Because this spring is held into place by a bracket on the chassis and a peg on this part. As you can see, the spring just sits on the little peg like that and comes off very easily. I'll leave the spring on there because it doesn't fall off. There's no need to take it off, and it can be a pain to work out how to get it back on. This part also contains the black latch that helps or gets moved and flicks the brush roll housing down, I think, when you recline the machine, like so. I leave that on, it's fine. Now we need to take the changeover valve off, and for this you need a slightly smaller Torx driver to get the little tiny screw and black washer out on the changeover wheel. There we go, little tiny screw, black washer. Then just slide the changeover wheel off the changeover bar, like so. And there's 3 more screws, one sits under here. And one sits at the back there. Come on. Yeah, you see that? If you can. If you can't comment, and I shall make sure that next time I do it slightly better. And there's another screw that sits down the back of the chassis. Yeah. And then with that off, the whole changeover valve assembly lifts off. As you can see, that's the flap. It gets activated with the one, so one down, flaps open. With the wand out, the flap shuts. So the flap open, the wand blocks off somehow, I think, the suction. Oh yes, because when you put that down, that part there moves across. So there you go, if that's in there like that, that side goes to the brush roll, and that side goes to the wand. With that down, it moves the lever across and basically just slides out and decides where it needs to go. You can take this out, there's a screw there, and you push the whole lot through, but that spring there is a complete bastard to get back on. Unless it really needs replacing, I leave it like that. Now we're pretty much done, apart from having to remove the rest of the spinal cord. And now the changeover valve's out. Okay? You can push it through, pull the connector out, pull. And then where it runs under here, you need to pull it out to there, and then push it through, because the last big clip there on the corner is too narrow for the cable to go, so you push it through and out. Tool holder does come off. I'm not going to because it doesn't need it, but there's a screw in the middle there. I've seen these broken off, and it sits on there. And that is a naked DC24 chassis. Lovely. Right. Ball, motor and yoke. Very simple. Either side, pull the yoke off the ball. This little seal will come with it, hopefully. That sits on there. The 3 holes line up with the 3 screws. Like so. Now, to strip the yoke down a bit, you need to prise out the black wiring cover. So, like so. And remove the wiring loom. With the wiring loom hanging free and careless, there's a screw underneath which holds the yoke plug to the bottom. So we can undo this screw and push like so. Until it comes off. That bit of wash, that bit done. Bear with me just for 2 seconds. Apologies for the brief pause there. I think I tried to get a phone call, but they didn't answer back. Well, I phoned them off the house phone, so they could do one. Now, what had we done? The yoke cable had come out, us had the yoke loom. Next is the little pivoting bar that centres the whole thing up when you park the machine. Down there, you'll see the end of the bar. There. That pops out and pushes up a little bit. And the whole bar comes up and lifts off the front. There is a little spring on the end which does come off, so I take that off, and that can go in the wash. You haven't got to take this off, but I will for this video. At the end of the yoke are 3 more. Oh, drop one. There you. Like so. What goes there? And all this does is take off the very end part. Only if it breaks, I think. I don't normally take them off, but I will do since we're on video, aren't we? There we go. That's all that does. And again, that is ready to wash. Next to the ball. And I've already taken the filter out because I've washed it, so the filter cover can go in there, and then you need to remove the 4 ball screws. The 4 ball screws come out. As they do. And the whole lot falls apart like so. And the inner motor comes away from the outer ball shell. On the end of the motor is the big bearing. That sits wiring some. On the other side, which is knackered, sits little bearing. If your ball bounces around and makes a crackly sound and just isn't a very snug fit, that is warp. do have some more here because I buy lots of them because I'm genuinely really more. If I look like that, you'll see the difference. There's the phone call, 2 seconds. Right, there we go. I forgot the remote control for my phone. So, this is the motor housing, the actual motor housing, not the ball housing. The wires pull off to there, but they go no further until you remove. We was undoing the motor housing to get to the beating 650? Yeah, 650 watt motor. Now those of you who know DC24s know that they are a shit motor and generally last for about 5-6 years. This one's okay. I had 3 last week, 2 of which needed a new motor, and of the 2 that I've got now, one I've stripped down, it needs a new motor, it's on the table there. This one is fine. So, lucky it. Now, when you remove the cover, the wiring is held in by a rubber block, which you need to push back and then remove. There's the rubber block. Okay, the telltale signs of classic Dyson filtration. And then you pull the motor rubber and out it comes. We've left the motor rubber. That's the top rubber. Sometimes that'll stay on the motor. Sometimes it won't. Now this motor runs absolutely fine. It is filthy. Will need a good vacuum off because it's been used for plaster dust. But it's fine. I'm not going to bother stripping that down anymore. You can't anyway, really. So, machine's done, motor's out next. And a cyclone. Open the bottom flap. Take the bin off. Pop the bottom cap, the bottom flap off the bin, like so. That's actually no, I'll show you something else in a second. Pull the lower seal off the flap. One dirty flap. And I'd normally take this off because there's not got grip behind it. The release rod, you get a screwdriver just under the edge of the holding bracket, and you have to be a little bit careful here. You flick it up just enough to clear the rod, and then the rod slides out like that, and then pulls down, and that's the machine. Lots of grip gets under there, so if you want a smooth action, I clean that out. Next, pop the filter cover. The filter has been washed, which is why it's not in the machine. So, again, with your flat blade screwdriver, carefully pop the hinge apart so you can take the top off. There are 3 screws under there. They all have to come off. So, top handle 1, 2, 3. There we go. And that takes the handle off the top of the cyclone. And just pop your screws through the card. Highly recommend you make yourself a screw card. You can write it as you go along. I do, then I keep them. Now, the red button at the top does remove. You need to pop out one side and then the other. It's a bit fiddly. Or just push the whole thing up like that. It comes off. There's also a little little spring that sits in the middle bit there that helps it all bottom down. Well, actually, while I'm here, that sticker is a bit damaged, so I'm going to take that off. Because for me, stickers are either good and fine or damaged and removed. Got no time for half-ass stickers, especially not on refurbs. If it's my own machines, I would do it twice. On refurb, no chance. The last thing to come off the top is the release valve. See it there? The way to get that out is you twist it, and only twist one way, and then remove it and pull. Yeah, full of rubbish. And then you've got your spring there, and then the two halves, like so. Oh, I think normally that's black foam. That doesn't appear to be dust. Or is it? I don't think so. No, it's not. It's white foam. Dyson obviously changed over at some point in the run. Now we have the cyclone. As you can see, lots of rubbish all over the shroud. The first thing I take off is the cone. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. And what I normally do is hold it like that, put your finger underneath one of the tabs, pull until, hear that crack? There we go. Now on the cone, this always happens, the ring fills with rubbish. You'll see in a second. I just pick it all out. There you go, see it all falling down? Good old Dysons, they know how to make dirt traps, don't they? You see, is bagless better? You have to do this to them every so often. I've lost count of the amount of 24s I can do. If I wasn't filming, I'd have this done by now, but because I'm talking you through it, it takes a bit longer. There we go. Oh no, not quite. Come on. Don't want you clogging up my bath. There we go. And then the seal at the bottom just gets popped off. Like so. Right, now that's done. And the cyclone is billowing out dust. We should remove these 5 screws? 2, 3, yeah, 5 screws. From the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. And then once that comes off, the whole lot separates. What first fell out is the middle part of the bin release rod. And it has a spring, which is a pain to fit because it's got 2 tangs on it that sit behind here and push. It twists this little flap backwards so it doesn't catch on the side of the cyclone. Now under the top here we have the cyclone seal, and as often happens on these, it's torn. You'll see there that there's holes where it shouldn't be. There you go. Very common. And again, I have replacements. I generally have a few because these are only £1 or £2. Really, really cheap and makes such a difference. So that can go in the bin. That can go back in the envelope of random stuff. And that can be washed. Next is the bin seal. That just pulls off there. Then to get the cone off the cyclone, you need to very gently pry it all the way around. It won't all come off at once because the cones hold it in a bit, so you've got to go around the whole circumference, just very lightly, put it off. This side's already looking slightly removed compared to the other side, so go all the way around just to break its bead, and then eventually, there you go, it all comes apart like that. Beautiful. Lots of fluff there, we don't want that in the washing. worst one of these I've had either. I've had it when this whole bit's been full of rubbish. I had one that had been used for DIY and then left outside as well, so all the plastic takes itself on. There we go, cyclone done. Lastly, we need to make enough parts for a working brush roll. And we'll start with the good condition one, mainly because there's no screws on it already. I'll show you that in a minute, so don't worry too much, because we want that bit. One of these doesn't work. I think it's the PCB because the motor looks okay, but you can never be sure. But because I've got spare parts, I'm not going to bother checking it. Just going to remove it. So you unplug the motor and pull the cable out. And because there's no screws, that part lifts out with the PCB attached because it's attached to here, the other side of the yoke housing. Now this bit's very thinly. You need to remove the little grey cover, which is held on by a little tab either side, which you need to just flick off its tabs. But as soon as you move to the other side, it has an annoying habit of popping itself back on again, like a right bastard. But with an appropriate amount of fiddling, diddling, and swearing normally, but I'm on camera so I won't. It comes off just enough, come on. To come off. Now, this part here, which is the naked end of the prongs, comes out with a bit of a twist because it's caught in between the mouldings, like so. Now we want to keep that one, so that can go in there. I think it is the PCB, look, because I can see a big melted charred bit on it. That bit there looks all melted and horrible. So I'm not even going to attempt to check that over, because that would be why. And I've got loads of it. That's not good. I've got loads of that. So that can go there. I'll keep that little lube in case it comes in handy. And that front's better than that front anyway, so that can go there. Right, where next? Lots of hair in here. Lovely. Right, next we take the brush roll out. So twist the end cap, locking bolt, and pull the whole thing out. Lots of hair on there, we'll have some of that off, but part of it cleans off alright normally. Like so. We're going to have to swap those around as well. I'll explain in a second. To swap the brush roll cogs over. Make sure we keep the right one. So that's there. We want the little screwdriver again because there is a little screw sat just in there. Little silver screw that holds the brush roll motor in. Apply some downward pressure because my screwdriver is just a bit too big. There we go. Your little screw, put that in the box. And an unknown quantity of brush roll motor. However, we want the little cog from it, and inside the little cog is a screw. So we shall remove this screw. And remove the cog because there are two types of cog. Now be careful here, that may not work, so I'll put that there because that will just go straight in the shed. I shall show you why there's two kinds of cog in a second. I always take the seals out because they get so covered in crap that it doesn't good to be washed, so you peel them out like so. Fish out the worst of the gunk, and the hair, and other shite that you see. See, this one's missing its little squeegee bar as well. But it doesn't matter, we only want part of it, and that head has all the bits we need and has its screws in. So now we have the good body stripped down with the non-working internals. We can strip down the bad scrap body. Actually, it's not too bad. Yeah, that is. That's battered. Bit of that. I'm not going to keep it. I've got enough. Right. First, you need. I use this, the DC24 switch removal tool, to pop it just inside the squeegee and flick up. There you go. That removes, don't worry about bending it because it straightens out and you put it back in. That removes the little rubber squeegee for hard floor use, which we need because we don't have one. Also because it hides 2 of the screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. Which we need because the good head doesn't have any. So we shall carve these. Pop this out of the way. I mean, depending on the state of the motor in here, if it looks worse, I'll keep both and see if the other one does work, but I haven't got time to be testing it. At the minute, I don't really care. Just want to get washed with happy tea. Got 2 to wash. What I did earlier out in the garden that's been soaking, that when we finish this video, I'll pop this into soak. We should just fill the parts box up with water and leave it for an hour or 2 to loosen up all the baked on gunk to make it much easier to wash. Much easier to wash. 2 more left. You bored yet? Must be a good half an hour by now. I mean, if you want a detailed stripped down view with pictures rather than just watching me do it, on Manchester Max, in the DC, in the first generation bull section, I have written several strip downs of the DC24 and DC25 with lots of instructions and comments, so it'll help you do it. Now, that is rubbish, don't want that. We need to unplug the motor because this is the working motor. Little Johnston brush roll motor. Rubbish as it is. We're going to take the reset out, and then there's the working PCB, which actually looks completely different. Because this one hasn't got the reset. So there's 2 versions here. This one hasn't got the reset switch. That one has. See the little reset button there? So whereas they went but could be reset if you were lucky, they didn't. So we'll bin that. Take this out. And again, we need to remove. That's it. So I need. Oh no, it does have the light out, that's fine, so I need to red cap. But there, I now need to refiddle this part out, so bear with me, because can't wash it with electronics on it. You could, but it'd be a bit silly. Come on, you're loose. I've got a few of those, so I'm going to bin that because in the shed full of scrap ones I have lots. Let's pick all the hair off this, I'll give it a vacuum off. Just to keep it looking good, but that is the good, well, known working, it may not be good, PCB. And that can go in good as well. Lastly, we need to remove this one's brush roll motor. Like so. I'll keep that little screw. Now I need to take out this cog because it's a different cog. I'm going to keep the motor because it might work, it probably does, but I just haven't got time to be faffing around in unknown quantity. And if I show you the two cogs, look, you'll see that they are different sizes. And the brush roll that we have is a deep brush roll. I don't think it fits the shallow one. I'm certainly going to swap them around. It might do. No, it doesn't feel as good a fit. That's that one. So we'll keep the big one. I'll pop the shallow one over there for another day. This is the known working one. So we'll have this. There's a bit of gunk there which I'll scrape off. Just to vaguely clean it up a little bit. Always best to remove as much fluff and muck as you can, just because these little motors only have a finite shelf life. 60 hours I think is quoted on the manufacturer's specifications. And then we go out of here and remove the seals. So I like to remove the seals to wash them because they get covered in dirt. As you can see, there's hair galore sat off there, so you can go in there. There's one at the front as well, and there. Ooh. Now that's broken there, but oh no, it's around, isn't it? This is the other. This is the old one. Yes. There we go. No more confusion. So, there we have it. That's our screw card. As you see, we haven't taken off the black ball latch. No, there. Or the changeover valve spring. So there we go. All the screws bar 2 for a Dyson DC24. And we have some non-washable stuff here. And the other non-washable stuff there. And lots of washable stuff here, here, here and here. Now what I do is I fill this black box with hot water and a sprinkle of washing on liquid for a good few hours just to soak up all the ground on stuff. Because bits like in there, which is really caked on, will take hours to scrub off. Whereas if it just soaks in for an hour or two, it will fall off with the rinse. So, there we go. That's that. One more thing to show you. I pumped up one of my Dyson balls that Manchester Vats gave me from their trade show. So I'm sure me and the children will play with that forthwith. I'm going to keep the other one flat and put it in my box of stuff that I keep and part of my collection. So, all that really remains to do is to clean up all this mess that has been left. I think the best way to clean up all this mess that has been left is to get the DC01 blue and get it gone. informational to you. If you have any specific questions, I would advise you join or read the Manchester Vax forum. I'm on there as Biko1987. I do have a DC24 Stripdown thread which contains more detailed pictures. Lots of us there who know what we're talking about. And the 19, nearly 20-year-old Dyson DC24 has cleaned up after his little brother, the 5 or 6-year-old DC24. Such is the way with life. So, thank you for watching and goodbye.